Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, depending on where you're catching up with us from today. Um, yeah, I'm just coming on. I haven't done a recording, I think, for a week now because it's been quite a busy week. I had teaching that I was doing, I had marking that I've been marking, and so today I thought I'm just gonna do a quick catch up, a quick what do you call it, yeah, live stream to catch up and just to know if you guys are doing well. So I have been well, and life has been busy. As I said, I have just had a lot going on, but I'm grateful. I'm not complaining. So this is going to be a quick one from me, and I just got something through the post, so it's not for resale because obviously I've got to do some work on it. But I recently was just sat down, and I usually say there are good ideas and they are God ideas. So I think for me, this was one of those God ideas rather than good ideas. So I went to bed in the night, and as I was going to bed, around 10ish, I think, I said my night prayer, and I was just like really going into starting to sleep. And then I just had an idea drop into my mind, and I was like, I'm not going to waste this idea because I have really been somebody who's been interested in writing publications and things like that. So I love writing, I love reading, and you might have seen quite a few books that I've just managed to go through this year alone because I've just realized that there's so much gold that is in books, and we easily can lose it or miss it if you're not reading. So I decided this year is a year that I want to really educate myself and read. And of course, at the moment, I'm reading more educational books. I'm reading more religious books about prayer and things like that. And so, as I was going to sleep, I just thought to myself, and I was like, "Wow, what an amazing idea!" I had just like very clear cut. It wasn't really in confusion, or I wouldn't say like it was a audible voice, but it was just such an urge or a nudge within me. I have had about like I see some of you live with me. I've had about ebooks on Amazon, but I've never invested my time, effort, and everything in learning about the ebooks. So most of the time when I've heard about ebooks, I've been even in sessions where people have talked about publishing books on Amazon, and I was like, what was that? What does that even mean? And obviously, I've always desired, because as I said, I love to do two things. So one of my hobbies is reading, and another hobby is writing. So when I was studying, I remember when I was studying back home in Kenya, English composition and insha in Swahili was like one of my favorite things because it just gives you an opportunity to be able to express yourself. So when I'm tired, I write. When I'm angry, I write. And I journal a lot. I've been journaling for, I can't even remember, more than 3 years at the moment. And so when it got to a point where last Friday, I was just like, I've done everything I wanted to do. I've said my nighttime prayers. I'm going to sleep. I closed my eyes, and then I just had an idea. And I was like, this is a God idea rather than a good idea. And so I woke up, I took my phone. I started looking at my phone, and I was like, okay, what can I write? What can I do? And then I thought, no, I need to go now get my laptop. So I woke up in the night, went downstairs, grabbed my laptop, and I came down and I started writing. Goodness me, I wrote and I wrote. By the time I was going to sleep on that Friday night, last week on Friday, I can see you, Nasa, I can see you, Anna Rita. I had written a draft. Or I went to bed at 3 in the morning, but I had written a draft, and I was like, we will look at this and so continue to see what's going on. So on Saturday, I came back in the night and I continued working on it. I can see you guys. Hello. And then when I continued working on it, I got to a point where I was like, I think I have a draft. So I went to church on Sunday. I came back and I was like, how can I even start putting this book out there on Amazon and things like that? And I'm so grateful because of the guide that I've just literally, it's just been so easy for me. It's just been like one information after the other. And today I've got like Yeah, it's a proof that I need to read through, so it's not for resale, so I cannot sell that. But you can see I've got my ebook, so I've just ordered the ebook printed version, which is basically Nutrition 101. A simple guide to calories, healthy eating, and sustainable fat loss. So it's basically like that's the way my first book looks like. It's a, as I said, it was a God idea that I'm going. I can see you from Brazil, Anna Rita, as I'm going to bed, and this idea just comes to my mind. And so this is the product of that idea because I love my nutrition stuff, and I talk a little bit about. So this is, I'll show you how the pages look like. So I've got like just a quick guide on there, and then the rest is just like table of contents. I've got like what is in there. So I talk about like the goal of the book, so there's some photos as well. So it's really, I'm really maybe impressed, but also so full of gratitude because, as I said, it's not something that if you asked me on Friday, a time like this when I was leaving work, I had no idea that by Sunday I'll actually have a draft of a book. And ever since then, I've managed to write another one, which was published yesterday on fat loss. And at the moment, I'm working on the hopefully for this season, the final one, which is more on supplements, because these are things that I feel like um, there's a lot of information that can be confusing, but we shouldn't be confused about nutrition. It should be so straightforward and it should be really easy for us. So I just thought today I'll come and give a bit of like a praise report because I know it's the support, it's the love that I've had from you guys. I know some of my friends have really been supporting me to say, Claire, why can't you go for this? But if I'm honest, it's a bit hot here. I just want to brag on God, really, if that's a word, if I'm allowed to say that, because as I said, going to my bed on Friday, I never knew by Friday this week I'll have at least 2 ebooks. And so I want to encourage some of you, if you have a dream and you had sat on that dream, can I tell you, can I be honest? I've always desired to publish, but I've never known how I can do it. I've been in seminars where people have talked about ebooks. I've been in places and it never was the time because I never ever grasped what needed to be done. But when it was God's timing, when it was his time, I cannot I cannot lie to you that I've struggled. It has been so smooth so far. And I just want to encourage you to say, if you have a dream, never give up on your dream. Never give up on, even if it's like dream on losing weight and things like that, because some of the things I write about in this book, this is just a summary of the ebook. Some of the things that I write about is my personal experiences. Some of the things, like especially, I love the fat loss one because I talk about like people expecting miracles, which is something I've expected myself, right, to think about because I have always been that very active woman. I've always been very into the sports and things like that. I'm just going to see the weight dropping off. And that has not been my case. It has been slow. It has been very painstaking. It has been hard. It has been difficult. So I wouldn't lie to you. So I draw from my own experiences. And from those experiences, I say, you know what? This is what I believe is more progress rather than perfection. That's what these all books are about. So if you want to grab a copy of yours, please, I try to avoid, I'm not doing this for money making, so I'm not doing this to really get money out of it. It's more to leave a legacy, because I was telling my husband the other day, I said, when I'm gone from this world, I want people to be able to remember me, and things like these are the things that will make people remember and say, I once read a book by this woman that actually changed my life. So guys, I just thought I'm gonna share this good news with you. As I said, some of you have been source of encouragement when I make a video. Some of you like it, some of you share it, some of you keep going back to it, coming back to it, and that's the reason which has really motivated me and encouraged me to be able to say, today I can be able to talk about nutrition, but I'm not just talking about nutrition from any other perspective, but I've also written about nutrition, and that's like a dream coming true. So just, I don't want to make this about me. As I said, it's not about me, but it's kind of just to say, guys, if you have a dream, we've only done a quarter of 2026. If you had asked me at the beginning of 2026 if I'll ever have a book on Amazon, I will tell you you're joking, because I was just coming up back from maternity leave. I was going back into a busy environment. I was so exhausted and with a little baby and everything. So I wouldn't lie to you, that was on my dream card, or even on my if I ever had a vision board. That was never part of my vision board for this year. But just within a week, being able to get into writing 3 ebooks, and those books have actually also been converted into paperback and hard copy. I can tell you, it only can be God's grace. And so I thought I'm gonna come on live today, just to encourage you to say, guys, do not despair, never give up. If you've got a seed of faith in you, faith like a mustard seed, right? As the Bible says, anybody who has faith like a mustard seed, it might just be that little thing that you are thinking, like, how can I give? How can I do this? One thing I've realized is you have to give faith to your faith, right? Because faith without works is dead. So give faith to your faith. For me, faith to my faith looked like, okay, I'm going to go and grab my laptop and sit down and start writing what comes to my mind. And that seed, I gave faith feet, and that's turned into a book, right? So for you, it may be that maybe you want to start a business and you don't know where to start. Just sit down and ask yourself, where can I start this? Where is God leading me in this season? And then once you have a bit of an idea, now give your idea feet, so to say, right? Begin to say, what can I do to actualize this? What can I do to make this a reality? What can I do to make my dreams become true? Because if you can only but dream, dreams become reality if you don't give up, right? So I just thought to share my news and to say, guys, I don't know. I'm living in another world at the moment of thinking, wow, like, wow, this is crazy. But if you ever want to know how this can be done, I will be coming back live one of these days and just talking to you guys about the processes. And of course, can I just be sincere and tell you, oh my God, it's so hot today in here. It's a very hot day in the UK today. Can I be sincere and tell you, I've done all these things without a single penny. I haven't paid even a single penny to get my book into Amazon. I paid to get this printed and delivered to my house because I want to go through and just check that whatever that I've written there, there's no typos and things like that. But you can actually be able sometimes to achieve your dreams without spending on them, as long as where there's a will, there's a way, right? If there's a will, if you're willing, God will always make a way for you. So I want to encourage you to say, what is the dream that you have? And even if you haven't dreamed, this is still time. You can still be able to dream. And it's my prayer that those dreams will become a reality. So I'm not going to make this unnecessarily long. I also have a really nasty sore throat. So that's why you're hearing a kind of, I'm crackling. But I thought, you know what, even if I have a sore throat, I can come on live and encourage you guys and say, don't dare give up on your dream. Don't dare get to a point where you forget about the fact that if you've ever had a seed can always grow. So give faith to your faith. That's the word for somebody today. Give faith to your faith. Faith to your faith will be, maybe if you really wanted to publish something, or you've always wanted to do something, what can you do to be able to make it become a reality? That's giving faith to your faith. Well, I'll stop rambling now and disappear and go home. But for now, I leave you with my nutrition 101 simple guide to calories, healthy eating, and sustainable fat loss. And one of the last things that I write about and I say in this book is that small choices become powerful. You do not need to change everything overnight. Sustainable changes happen gradually. Start with one small improvement, then another, then another. Over time, those small actions become routines, and those routines become your lifestyle. Your health is built through what you repeatedly do, not through occasionally perfect days, right? Therefore, consistency will always matter more than perfection. So I pray that you know that you're loved, celebrated, and appreciated. I've got to go. To say it is really hot in my car today. I've got to go and cook some food as well. But thank you so much for every support. I'll come back again one of these days and just give like a step-by-step guide of how I've managed to get. It's going to be by hopefully this weekend 3 books on Amazon without paying a penny for them, and yeah, without sweating on them as well. So God bless you so much. Have an amazing evening. If you haven't done so already, why not just click on that like, share, or subscribe button? It'll go a long way to support us. And of course, if also you want a copy for yourself, I've tried to make these as cheap as I can because obviously, as I said, it's not about the money. I'm not intending to make money on these. I'm more intending to be able to educate people. So the money that comes out of this is more to go towards, if they're printing it out to Amazon, you'll pay for the printing. If they're delivering, you pay for the delivery depending on where you're located. But it's not about me making money out of the book. It's more about me sharing my heart out as a nutritionist to other people so that I can say, hey girl, hey boy, hey man, hey whatever, you are on the right track if you don't give up. And if you know me, even if you've been here for a minute, I'm a great advocate of consistency, a great advocate of repetition, because repetition produces mastery. So I've got to go now. Have a great evening, and I'll leave you to say, wherever the dream that you have, pursue it. One day, if you don't give up, it'll become a reality. As I said, I did not think that in 1 week I'll have written 3 books on Amazon. It can only be God, and it can only be His grace. And so I want to say to you, what is that standing in between you and your dream? Go for it and do not let anything hinder you, because God has resourced you enough to be able to be and do what He's placed you here on this world. Don't stand in the way of your perfection, or well, in your way of moving because of perfection. If I had waited to be able to produce a perfect book, I wouldn't have written any of the things that I've written. But I say to myself, I can only get better every single day. And I can almost say this to you. My first draft was difficult, but when I was doing the second draft, it was much more easier for me because I had the experience from the first one. So don't let waiting for the perfect time stand in your way, because the perfect time will never come. So have a great evening. God bless, and catch up with you again pretty much soon. Goodbye and God bless.